feel like it's been a really solid week so far. Obviously, getting going today on third down day, and yesterday I thought was a really good day. Just executing first and second down stuff, and obviously really tough defense, a tough challenge in San Francisco, and everything that they bring from the D-line to the backers to the back end as well. I feel like those guys just fly around, and they do what they do exceptionally well. Obviously, Coach Sala being there now as well, so excited to have that opportunity to go against a really tough defense and a really tough team.
You talked before about how your time in San Francisco changed you as a quarterback. What do you reflect on as you face them again?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like I've always understood what that time meant for me, as not only as a person but as a player as well. And I've always I always really enjoyed my time in San Francisco, but being here now in Seattle, I'm excited to have that opportunity to go against them. Like I said, it's a really good organization, great players, great coaching staff over there. So just excited for the opportunity.
You guys only played one series in the preseason. Just how excited are you to see what this offense can do playing a whole game together?
Yeah, we're ready to roll, man. It's been a long lead up to this first game, as it has been for most every team in the NFL. But we're really excited. We're excited to just roll the thing out there, kick it off, and get the season underway.
You got to play against this defense last year in Minnesota, and Fred Warner in particular was like Superman out there, sometimes full stretch. How do you account for a player that can do things that nobody else can do in the middle of the field?
Yeah, Fred's obviously an incredible player. You have to give your respect to him, but they got a lot of great guys, around him as well. Obviously on the D-line and in the back end. I feel like, obviously with Demo out there at corner, you got some other guys that made some splashes last year, and they got some, really good rookie talent as well. So we gotta our hands full a little bit going into this game. And again, like I keep saying, man, we're just excited to go against them, excited for the opportunity and the challenge that they bring.
Sam, you talked about it was third down day, but how important is it to win first down, and how do you win first down?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge key, is staying efficient on first and second down, as it is every single game, but especially against these guys. It's a huge key to stay efficient on early downs, not having any negative plays, not having any penalties, false starts, holdings. For me, being able to get the ball out of my hands. So it's just all those key things are going to be huge in this one.
You played well under center, play action. A lot of quarterbacks aren't comfortable with their back to the defense. What about that has worked for you, and when did that start clicking for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is my feet. As we say, listen to our feet. That's kind of the key for me in drop back or play action game. And I think at the end of the day, like just understanding kind of the coverages that we're going to see. Obviously, it's kind of tough in this first game, with Sala going back there, and you have a ton of film to watch and a bunch of different things that they can bring, a bunch of different coverages, pressures. But I think just being prepared for what they could potentially bring, because when you do turn your back to the defense, you just got to be ready for is it going to shell? Is it going to single high? Are they playing man? Are they playing like a match coverage? Are they bringing pressure? So there's a lot of different things that go through your mind, but by Sunday, you would like to have that narrowed down and have a really good idea of what we're going to see when we get out there.
Sam, in a conversation about leadership and accountability with Marshawn on his pod, you used the example of like, my receiver runs the wrong route, I throw a pick, I'm going to eat it, basically.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that? And if so, why? Like that version of accountability.
I think, at the end of the day, that's whether it was my fault or not, whether nobody really knows, it was kind of a combination of the two. I think the biggest thing is just taking accountability. That's the biggest thing that, I've not only for my teammates to hear, but also for myself. I feel like if something goes wrong in a play, what good does it do to just say, oh, I did my job? I feel like I did everything I could to make that play work. It just didn't work. It's like, no, I think you can look in the mirror and understand that everything can be better. And that's the kind of, not only myself, but I feel like that's the kind of guys we have in the locker room, and it's fun to play with guys like that.
Have you seen that version of leadership and accountability? Like, have guys given you feedback about that? Like teammates said they appreciated it?
No, I think at the end of the day, like we just appreciate each other. we love, coming to work every single day with each other, and we love the accountability that everybody, takes for, their mistakes, or even if they didn't make a mistake and they think they did, most guys will be the first ones to own up to it.
You've obviously been through this before going into a season, with the benefit of experience. I'm just curious, how you feel different after 7 years, after 5 teams, just kind of what's the benefit of experience for you? How do you feel most prepared and confident, and what's different this year than maybe previous years?
Yeah, I think that's a deep question that I really haven't had a ton of time to look back on my career and think about. I think at the end of the day, you gain so much knowledge just from experience alone. I had gained a ton of experience from the 6 years previous to last year, and then obviously gained a ton of experience last year. And so you just continue to stack that up over the course of time, and it just, obviously defenses start bringing new things, and they show you different looks and different pressures with different coverages. So there's always something new that defensive coordinators like to keep quarterbacks on their toes with. And I think that's the fun part about the game, though, is it's ever evolving, and it's changing all the time. And it's not like I've been seeing the same coverages the last 8 years. There's different coverages and different pressures that coordinators are figuring out. I mean, just check out Mike and his defense and his scheme that he rolls with. Even last year, some of the stuff that we had to prepare for in Minnesota, preparing for Mike and all the different pressures and coverages they could bring. It's challenging, but it's really fun. I think that's the fun part about football, is it challenges you in such a great way. And for all 11 guys to go out there, see a tough look, pick it up, score a touchdown, or even just gain 5 yards on a 3rd and 4. That's the beauty about football and sports in general.
Following that up, what are defenses doing that are different now from 8 years ago when you came in the league?
Shoot, I mean, there's a lot of different pressures. I think that'd be an interesting question to see how Mike would respond to that. I'm not sure he would get too in depth with you, but there's a ton that defenses are doing that are trying to beat certain protections, doing certain things on, get back on track downs, which are 2nd and long, and 3rd downs especially. So it's like I said, that's the fun part about football, and we're just continuing to try to get better as an offense and pick all that stuff up.
This is just one game out of 17, but it's still the first one where you're really making a first impression to a lot of fans out there. How much emphasis do you think about that, or how much do you kind of weigh into that, given that this is really the fans' first chance in a regular season game to see you play?
Yeah, it's incredible. I think, just the opportunity that I get to be able to play in front of these fans, finally as, our fans. I feel like I've been coming here the last few years, and it's nice to have them on my side now, and it's incredible. I know the energy that the 12s are going to bring out there on the field, and we're really looking forward to playing in front of those fans. And but I don't put much pressure on myself. To answer your question, I think at the end of the day, I prepare so much throughout the week to just go out there and let it rip, have fun, be loose, and be myself.
Kind of building on that, as you've gone through your experiences, what have you learned is the things you need to do in a game week in order to be ready and have success on a Sunday?
Yeah, I think just kind of visualizing. I think visualizing the plays that we're running against certain defenses, and just every single play that we have, like kind of, okay, we're attacking this coverage, but what if we get this? I think that's been kind of the last few years. I feel like continuing to harp on that while I visualize and do my homework outside of the facility, like those are the kind of huge steps that I've been making as a player. I feel like just, worst case scenario, what do I do on this play if things go wrong? And, I feel like continuing to think like that as a quarterback, will continue to help me in the future.
You played with one of the...
About the game prep process, the operation, and how you get the game plan, when you get it. What's different here than you had?
Yeah, there's some different nuances, different things in the schedule. But at the end of the day, like, I'm going to prepare the same way I've prepared, doing everything that I can to, like I said, visualize all these plays against different coverages and how we're, attacking the defense and what we're going to do if, what we're scheming up isn't necessarily there.
The nuances, what are the differences?
With what?
In-week, game-week process, preparation process?
Anytime you go to a new team, there's going to be things that are a little bit different, but they're all great things. It's all, opportunities for us to come into work and take advantage of the time that we have with each other and preparing the way that we do.
You play
arguably the best receiver in football last year in Justin Jefferson. And some people look at the Seahawks receiver room and have question marks. How good do you think JSN can be?
I think JSN can be really good. I think he is really good. For anyone that doubts him, I would love for them to just turn on the tape. At the end of the day, I feel like he does incredible things. He's been doing great things. I think for all of us, though, it's about what we're doing now, what we're going to be doing in practice today to get ready for this Niners defense, and that's all we can control, and that's what we're going to worry about.
You said today's like third down-ish type of stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems like there's some schemes that with the quarterback, when there's pressure coming, you have a lot of autonomy to like move stuff, go max protection, stuff like that. It seems like this scheme is more like the hots are kind of more built in to take the pressure off the quarterback. If that's true, what are the pros and cons maybe of the way this scheme lets the quarterback handle pressure? Yeah,
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. I feel like, our offense is, ever evolving. We're going to continue to look at, the best ways to attack defenses that we're going against that week. We might do it differently than what we've been doing, all of training camp. And that's great, as long as it gives us an edge to be able to go out there and be the best offense we can be. We're going to do that.
There's a report that Abe Lucas signed an extension with the team. Thoughts on that, and then kind of what do you see from a quarterback's perspective and seeing from him on the right side of the line?
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy for Abe. Happy for him and his family. It's just incredible stuff whenever you can see something like that go down and, you get to congratulate him in person. It's an incredible thing. And what was your second part of that question?
So what do you see from him out there?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he's always brought such a positive attitude. Even in a funny, joking way, even when it's super hot out there and he's out there, with the cold towel on his head saying, "I love this." And you guys can fill in the blank on the next word that he says. But it's an incredible thing, man, just to see Abe go to work every single day. And, he deserves every penny of that.
With Clint in San Francisco, obviously, now you've been with him here for the build-up to this season. Just what stands out about him as a coach?
Yeah. First of all, I think Clint's very relatable. He gets along with all the guys. He gets up here and he talks to the offense every single day, but I feel like every single day he has, a new little message for us and how we can get better and how we can attack the day. And, I think that's the great part about Clint and, just his football mind, all the football that he's been around, different systems and the things that he's seen. There's so much experience, and I think guys respect that a ton about him. But yeah, I would think that the biggest thing is just he's very relatable. He's one of the guys, and that's what a lot of guys love about him.
Mike McDonald said that you never want to take the playmaker out of the player, and I'm just curious for you, are there different situations where you change the risks you're willing to take, whether it's red zone, third down, wherever it might be?
Yeah, I think, to give you an example, like I think on a fourth down and, games on the line, obviously you got to throw it. You're not too worried about your stats at that point. You're not too worried about throwing a pick or, turning the ball over because, at the end of the day, ball, if we throw it away, that's maybe one of the dumber plays in football that you can make, in my opinion, throwing it away on a fourth down. So there's definitely certain situations where you don't want to risk that. Like if it's first or second down, nothing's there, it's definitely better to throw it away than to do that. But so yeah, every situation has its own kind of flair to it, and I think for us, it's for me personally as a quarterback, it's about weighing those risks and weighing the rewards and going from there.
When we talk to him, he seems very no nonsense. Is he the same way behind the scenes, or is there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's very dry. He gets to the point, and it's funny whenever he does crack a joke or crack a smile. I'm like, what was that? He rarely shows that. So it's great whenever Clint can crack a smile or say something funny. It always gets the guys going. But no, he's very straightforward, very to the point, which is, again, like I said, is kind of another thing that I think guys appreciate.
Having gone against Mike McDonald's defense for the last month or so, what do you anticipate will give the other teams trouble on Sundays?
Yeah, I'm obviously not going to go into too much detail on that one, but mix it up pretty good. And I think the biggest thing is the players, right? I feel like coach lets the players play, and we got a lot of good players, and I'm excited to watch them play on Sunday.
you know whose idea it was to make the shirts and the hats with "Listen to Your Feet"?
I think it was Andrew Janoko, the quarterback coach. So you guys, whenever you get to talk to him next, which probably won't be for a while, but you guys will be able to ask him about that. That'll be great.
Anything else?
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.